Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680.
Welcome back to another installment of Injustice on the Sphere Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brennan Dunn. You can reach me on Twitter at LegalMind. That's mine with a Y because there's always a question to be asked and answered. Joined with the ever wonderful Alicia Ford. How are you, Alicia?
I'm well, Brennan. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Injustice on the Sphere TV. I'm your host or co-host, Alicia Ford. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Allie on Sphere. So, Brennan?
Yes, Alicia.
Today is the day before Thanksgiving.
Well, gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble. Is there any news to gobble, gobble?
There is a little bit of gobble,
Okay.
gobble news. Starting with the federal judge in Maryland has issued a preliminary injunction that blocks the Trump administration from banning transgender people from serving in the military. Now, this isn't the first such injunction issued by a federal judge against this particular mandate by the president. However, this judge's ruling encompasses a little bit more. In this ruling, he rules that the administration could not stop the use of military resources for sex reassignment surgeries, saying that the lack of any justification for the abrupt policy change combined with the discriminatory impact who has served our country capably and honorably cannot possibly constitute a legitimate governmental interest. This is yet again another instance of the Trump administration falling by the wayside on their crusade to change what the Constitution stands for and what the Constitution has continued to evolve into. I think that during the Trump tenure, the real MVPs right now are the federal court judges, as they have stopped disaster after disaster, and I'm proud of them.
You know, I think that they're the only people left in our federal government with good sense. And I think that they understand that they are truly the last line of defense on what would be an onslaught against the American people via Trump's new means of policy making that are actually, I mean, you know, like I said, he's tweeting out policy, which is never effective, which obviously is not well thought out. And we know he doesn't think, period. And so his inability to control himself, and especially in regards to how it affects Americans' lives, is really troubling. And I think that the federal courts are noticing that it's a little too harsh. It's a little too offhanded. It's a little too flagrant and blasé, and he's not understanding the gravity of what he's doing and what this means to the American people. So, I mean, I'm happy that the federal courts are actually going to be the ones that are stopping this and saying, hey, you know what? Right. We see what you're doing here, Trump. And they're taking their jobs seriously because that's what they're supposed to do.
Well, it's interesting. At least I'm interested in the concept of federal judges and their tenure as it relates to this, because if you don't know, federal judges are appointed for life. There's been some argument saying that, well, federal judges shouldn't have that kind of power for the rest of their lives. The argument on the other side says, well, it gives them complete autonomy from the political system. Once they're in there, they cannot be swayed one way or the other by any political party. Conversely, usually these human beings have come from a past of issues that's really interesting to me is the concept of these federal judgeships. And in case you don't already know, federal judges are appointed for life. And these judges, they come in as human beings and they lean one way or the other. Usually they're either conservative, they're moderates, or they're liberals. One side of this argument is that, well, hey, we want these federal judges to be in there for life so they aren't swayed one way or the other by the political system.
Correct.
The other argument is, well, hey, they come in and whatever they were, traditionally, they're going to continue to be that way for life. So if they're a hardcore conservative, well, guess what? All of their rulings will be based off this or predicated off of this conservative nature, which for the next 15, 20, 35 years, you're going to have a court that will always rule the way it wants to rule in terms of their political leanings. This kind of plays itself out here in as much as the autonomy that a judge has to not care about any blowback, so, but the question still lends to me, should it be a lifelong tenure, or should this be something where maybe they're given a longer federal appointment? I don't know. This is interesting because this is one of those times where we see it helping us rather than hurting us.
And so I think we have to understand that maybe the nature in which it's playing out is the fact that they're conservative in our society when it's just a regular per se democracy that we're used to having, the usual push and pull of conservatives and Democrats or the liberals, where it's kind of like they're used to pushing their certain values and propositions and laws that they may want. But this, and I think the problem here is, and it's not even a problem, what they're faced with is something that goes beyond conservatism and liberalism
to
right?
stupidity.
Exactly. So it's kind of like we can leave
what's beyond conservatism? Stupidity.
And so it's exactly. And so what they're realizing is that this is not a conservative and liberal battle, So they're really
a battle for our souls.
Basically, I mean, he's already trying to usurp and suck everything we have left out of America. But even still, they have to understand and I think they understand that this is a fight for the American people. And regardless of what your leanings lie, your duty first and foremost is to serve the public. So, I mean, I'm hoping that's where they're going with it, but we'll see.
We will see. And speaking of serving the public, the Massachusetts governor, Charlie Baker, signed House Bill number 4009, guaranteeing access to free contraception for women, notwithstanding any future changes to the Affordable Care Act that may be affected by Congress. This development follows President Trump's executive order titled Promoting Free Speech and Religious Liberty, passed in May of this year, that expanded the scope of employers with religious and moral objections to deny access to contraceptives. Simply put, this is his way of fighting back against Trump, on Trump saying, you know what, corporations, churches, you're going to be allowed to not support the contraceptive movement for women based off of your own moral and religious objectives. Now, this particular bill by the governor still gives exemptions for churches and organizations principally run by a church, but it really opens the door to access for those who would otherwise not have access based off of the edicts that were laid down by Trump. He's saying, look, I want to keep the structure that was there with the Affordable Care Act that President Obama put in place for my state and mirror it to what the federal government used to be up until the Trump regime came in. And I think that he's doing a service to the people of Massachusetts, specifically the women of Massachusetts. And I just don't see why a business's moral or religious beliefs should play any sway in how a company runs itself with this whole separation of church and state. I just don't get it.
And I'm saddened because I feel like they're deteriorating women's rights day by day, the rights for us to truly rule over our bodies, and the rights for us to really make the decisions that are necessary for us. Like I said, for some reason, men keep wanting to make decisions about contraceptives and contraception in regards to women and how we should have access to it, which is the ultimate form of patriarchy.
So do you think would this be better if they appointed a council of women to
I'm not even saying
issues?
I'm not even saying that you need but you need to understand that obviously you don't understand. Because
but if there was if they appointed a council of women that did the same thing, would you then be upset?
If they appointed a council of women that just sat there and said no, women can't have contraceptives,
right? Or said that certain corporate entities could exempt out of it based on their own religious and moral beliefs.
So if we want to sit here, and I don't think that would, I mean, you would have to go super conservative, and then you would actually, and to think that if you're truly putting together a council of women that would be representative of society by and large, you wouldn't get that kind of outcome, because it would have to represent the people per se. And I would hope that the people that they choose on this council, if they are truly representing our society, are not going to be the ultra conservative who would deny women the ability to have contraceptives at all. Because
there are, but we both know there are women that would vote for this,
and I understand that, and you know,
and not to say that
they are beyond my and the help of God, but I'm just saying that, you know, I can't speak for them. I can't speak for the ultra conservative, but I can speak for the average everyday woman who, if you have an irregular period and you need your contraception, you can't get it because of some nonsense.
Just like there are some Hispanics out there chanting "Build that wall," it's inexplicable.
You can't family plan correctly because you don't have access to something that is a right. So you'd rather, and this is what I'm telling you, pro-life is not pro-life, it is pro-birth. We just want you to push the baby out. Whatever happens afterwards, they don't care, but then they get mad about the welfare state that we have. That's another story, but it's all interrelated. And I'm just glad that this Massachusetts that the governor decided, like, look, regardless of what you're doing, President Dump, we are going to do something better. Yes, I did say President Dump.
Hey, you got to call a spade when you see it. But I do want to let the viewers know that this portion of the show is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33%, or more than 77 million Americans, don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say that they don't have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email them at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask them how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance is the new face of the new age of financial services. Speaking of these federal judges and trying to right things that were once wrong, a judge for the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri issued an order placing restrictions on how the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department interacts with protesters. To speak of, the order states that the city of St. Louis can't authorize or they can't make a declaration of an unlawful assembly against protesters unless they are posing an imminent violent threat. They also cannot declare an unlawful assembly for the purpose of punishing people simply for exercising their right to protest, nor can they use chemical agents against those people. The order also prohibits the use of chemical agents without probable cause to arrest the person they are using it against. All of these things, and you would think that, well, duh, but all of these things come from a lawsuit that was lodged by the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, that filed against the city of St. Louis for unconstitutional police conduct back in September when they gathered to protest the acquittal of the white former police officer who killed the black suspect. The police officers were using chemical weapons against protesters, as well as unlawfully detaining them. They were using it against people that were both peacefully protesting and unpeacefully protesting. It just was, they were wreaking havoc and creating more problems than they were trying to quell.
I think that part of the problem is that we may come to see is that, honestly, it's not protesting, it's black people protesting. Okay, let's just be honest. This isn't about white people protesting. This is not about any other group than black people protesting because they feel for some reason that we are not allowed to peacefully assemble, or we are not allowed to show that we can peacefully assemble, and that's a problem. They can't sit there and act like we are terrorists of our own state when we're exercising our constitutional rights on our streets, and that's the problem. And I'm glad that the federal judge decided that, hey, look, this is not something that's allowable. This is not something that we should do, and you're not allowed to do these unless you are fearing imminent danger. And even still, if there is imminent danger, they can crowd control those certain kind of pockets of what's going on if they needed to. But instead, they choose to say, we're going to mass everybody into a group, kind of push it out, disperse, and get rid of the ability to assemble, which is our right, and protest the government and what we're not happy about.
But, you know, this to me highlights that issue of the police needing policing. And it's funny because we don't get to see it when it's that one-on-one interaction between the police and an individual. Sometimes they have a camera on, sometimes they don't, sometimes they catch the end of something. Sometimes they say, well, you didn't get the whole context of the video. But here you have them on a grand scale doing the same thing that they do on that minor scale. And if you're going to do it with the masses, what makes you think that they're not doing it with the individuals? And it's scary to think that the same people who are supposed to be protecting and serving are some of the same people that are abusing and harassing. You were there to stop and prevent riotous behavior. And what you ended up doing was creating an even more vile situation.
Yeah.
You have to be told, don't use chemical agents on people unless you have probable. A federal judge has to order you to do something like that. You have to be told not to call an assembly unlawful unless there is an imminent violent threat. What?
Let's call a spade a spade. You have to be told that you can't harass black people. You have to be told that it is not right to sit here and actually turn back to Jim Crow era and spray us down with hoses. You have to be told that you can't sick dogs on us because that's not the right way. In essence, they're now choosing the different means of the ways that they did in the civil rights movements in the 60s. Now you have to be told these things again. And I don't even think that it's, so you have to remind the people who seem to have forgotten that they can't do that. And that's the problem. So, I mean, it's just, I'm trying to get it together.
I agree with that. I mean, it's just, it's stressful. It's stressful. And I just don't understand it. But what I do understand is that this portion of the show is sponsored by The Sphere. Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States, as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. So we're going to jump over to Ohio, where dozens accuse a former Ohio State representative of sexual misconduct. which has been going around. More than 30 individuals told the publication that former state representative Wesley Goodman, a Republican from Ohio, reached out to them on social media apps to solicit sex, flirt, and send pictures of his genitals. Most of those contacted are between the ages of 18 and 24 and did not know the representative well, which I don't really understand that turn of phrase. They did not know him well.
They were solicited.
But you either don't know him or you do.
I did not know him well enough to say that I knew him well.
But you knew him?
You were solicited. So I knew him through this app where he went and solicited me. So I knew him enough to go find him. But
I'm afraid of some of these because I think
the problem
within a story lies the truth.
The man was having sex with a man in his office, and he was promoting anti-LGBTQ and family value conservatism. I don't.
There's no question that Republicans.
All that you want to find here, I'm not gonna look for it with you.
Well, I mean, having sex with another man is not the same.
No.
Let's shame on you for discriminating against the LGBT community like that. Give me a hand so I can slap it.
Did you even hear what I said, man? What I was saying, son, is that basically the man who has been anti-LGBTQ and pushes a man and a woman, Christian family values, that's a nuclear family, has kids of his own, is married, was caught having sex with a man, which is what he is against. There's nothing wrong with having sex with a man. I actually would prefer to have sex with a man, and I'm sure another man who is gay would prefer to do the same thing. But what I'm saying
there are so many things that just came to my mind.
But my point is there's nothing wrong with however you choose to want to express your sexuality. That is your right.
Okay.
What is wrong is condemning somebody for expressing their sexuality when that's the same sexuality you hold, and coupled with making laws that actually restrict them in their ability to live their life as they choose because of how they choose to demonstrate their sexuality.
Well, and I agree with that. I don't think there's any we've seen it time and time again where somebody on the ultra right or left espouses certain political beliefs that they themselves don't really live by. And I think that becomes the political hypocrisy that we all have come to know and love, where you've got somebody who says, look, I'm against abortion, but you've got a record of having told your halfway baby mama, let's go get 3 of these things. You've got the ones that have espoused hatred for the LGBT community that go out here and do LGBT type things. You've got ones who say, well, I hate all Negroes except that other word that we like to use, but then they got a side piece that's black. So we see this all the time. I wish people would just be comfortable with who they are. If everybody,
I don't care what you want to do with your life.
Look, if everybody in politics just was themselves, I bet you America would be a better place. I bet you.
So the thing about it is, look, as long as what you doing in your bedroom doesn't affect what I choose to do in my bedroom, I don't care. As long as what you choose to do in your life doesn't some way impinge or infringe on my ability to exercise my freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in this country, I'm fine with it. You know what? I'm not here to judge you, because let me tell you all the glass houses that I live in. So it's just that, as you said before, I don't believe that these politicians are truly being honest with themselves, with their constituent. And to add insult to injury, not too long ago, he was also accused of fondling a boy at one of the rallies. So this man is almost also a predator.
I don't understand how these cats haven't learned their lessons yet about, if you are in the public light, if you're gonna go do some dastardly things, you need to vet the people you do dastardly things with.
You can't because we're all human.
You can't be willy-nilly out here with everybody.
Let me tell you, look.
You just can't be willy-nilly.
There is not enough money to really keep somebody's mouth shut, because he sure don't have. Well, I'm sure there is.
You need to
but
stick
he
with the
doesn't
people that
have-
you came into this world with.
But-
if you came into politics with 15 friends, you better not make a 16.
No, you need to be able to have the money to buy the silence. That's really all it is. And he doesn't have enough to buy the silence.
They're
because
going
if
out.
he did,
No new friends. No new friends.
I'm just saying, like,
No
new friends. But what I would like to tell our friends is that this portion of the show is sponsored by Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is creating a welcoming practice that offers exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and family-friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are a part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Batiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Chandra Batiste at Elite Dental Wellness. Call them at 713-789-8680.
So the last thing we're going to talk about today is we're going to hop over to the West Coast, Killer Cali. And there's a proposal that seeks to exempt Californians with no kids in public schools from paying school taxes. There was an individual who proposed this initiative. It's called the California Education Tax Relief Act. It's slated to be on the November 2018 ballot if it receives enough enough signatures. It needs 585,407 signatures to qualify for the ballot. I think that they are well on their way, but Lee Olson of Huntington Beach is listed as the proponent behind the proposal. I think to me, this isn't a bad. I'm all for.
I really hope Lee did not go to a public school.
Well,
I really hope Lee.
I'm all for
went
socialism.
To a private
I'm all
school.
for certain facets of socialism, but I understand where he's coming from and saying that, look, why am I already pay enough in taxes for everything else. Why am I paying taxes on something that doesn't actually benefit me?
Like, because I'm already done with my education, right?
Well,
Oh, okay.
if
so
his children,
well, wait.
but if his parents
you're not
paid
allowed.
taxes,
You're not allowed.
that's a red herring, because if his parents paid taxes, well, guess what? And he went to public school, then it worked for them. If his parents didn't have him, then they wouldn't have had to pay those taxes. I don't understand your argument for that. This is about people who have children that are in public school.
No, because also the people who didn't have children, his parents, all their tax money did not just fund him throughout the entire. But the people who also didn't have children at that time were contributing to his education to make sure that he could be educated.
Speaking for him, it's not my fault that they didn't argue against it.
But okay, you know what? Then I want all of you, Lee Olson, you son of a sapsucker. You're not. That was rude.
See,
but
it's something about Thanksgiving that just really brings out the hate in your eyes.
Stop it. But my point is, we need to go to we have entered into a social contract in this society. We have agreed that certain protection.
Have we? Because we're fighting for Affordable Care Act right now.
Okay, sir. You can sit here. We can play these games with me today, but I'm not
you
going
talking
to go
about
there with no
facts.
No, I'm not talking about these facts. I'm talking about what I'm talking about out of my mouth right now. What I'm saying to you is that we entered into a social contract in society where we gave up certain things.
Social contract.
Yes. Have you heard of John Locke?
That's very hippie of you.
I'm sorry. What? Are you serious? Do you need me to pull the books?
Well,
anyway,
usually social contracts have a contracts have a written signature.
No. But what we're saying is that what I'm saying is that we entered into a social contract in society where we get up certain benefits in order to have the protections of living in this society. Also, utilitarianism, the greatest good for the greatest number, which is what our democracy is built on today. So it's not built on what's good for you is good for you alone. We're doing the greatest good for the greatest number, and the greatest good is, in essence, educating every single part of our society for those that would want it. And if you feel bad about the extra $15, $20, $200 a year that you have to pay to help a child go to school, I'm sorry. Suck it up and go have a child or get a dog and feel like a parent.
So I got to pay for children that aren't mine.
Yes.
Too
bad.
That's deep. Just put everybody on child support right now.
You know what? I will put you on child support for everybody.
Well, if you put me on child support, we doing
No,
some.
oh my gosh, why did I
some
even
soul
go there
shaking
with
in
you?
bed.
Why did I even go
I'm just
there?
saying. What you say? You love men?
I've
Ladies and gentlemen, gobble gobble. That is our time
just
today
can't
on
do it today.
Injustice. Thank you for watching us on the Sphere Network. I'm your host, Brennan Dunn. You can reach me on Twitter at LegalMind. That's mine with a Y because there's always a question to be asked and answered. Gobble D, Alicia.
You can. And I am Alicia Ford. You can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at Ali on Sphere. And also you can reach us at Injustice at the Sphere TV, and tell Brennan to leave me alone on Thanksgiving and let him know how wrong he is.
No, you're getting a midnight call tonight.
But please don't do that. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our
Yes.
time. Hope you've enjoyed us.
See you next time.